What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for September 27th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. And, well, the Phillies officially clinched, and they were able to actually clinch the top seed last night as well, thanks in large part to not so much the Braves' comeback as much as the Cubs making an error that allowed the go-ahead run the score, which ultimately clinched the division for the Brewers, which then in turn clinched the top wildcard seed for the Phillies. So they will be the 4 seed. There will be playoff baseball next week at Citizens Bank Park, starting on Tuesday. Times and everything are still to be determined. But what a win. And of course, the way they've played all year, of course they're going to clinch a playoff spot with a walk-off. And I love seeing that it was Rojas. He's been such a key member of that team since he came up. I really, really have been impressed with him. He seems like he works hard. And I feel with the way defensively this team has some issues sometimes, having him out there in center field is great. And it takes one less worry. It's kind of like when Shane was out there and we never really had to worry about what was going on. But 3-2, 10 innings. Phil's not only clinched a playoff spot, they clinched the 4th seed. We are 1 win away from winning our bet with 4 games left to play. I think if you're going to bet, today probably be a good day to bet the Pirates, just because Topper told them before, I guess he dismissed them, come in late tomorrow, go out and celebrate. So I really see them coming out sluggish today. But they clinched. They're in. We need one more win for the bet. Playoff baseball Tuesday at Citizens Bank Park, and I cannot wait. Obviously, if you want more Phillies coverage, go to 2008 Phils. Only 5 games left in order to get that 75% off a subscription. All the details are in the link. You get the 2008 World Series banner shirt. Hopefully, we're getting a 2023 banner to go alongside of that. 2008 Phils will follow your Twitter account. You get access to everything they have on their site, all for 75% off. Get access to autographs, tickets, and giveaways all throughout. And I'm sure throughout the postseason, there's going to be all kinds of things going there. Definitely worth it. Check them out, phillygoat.com. All the details you need. It's $2 a day, $20 for the year. Just do it and celebrate this magical Phillies postseason run. And while you're at it, after you sign up for 2008 Phils, with all the money you're saving from the 75% off, go to Philly Goat. Get one of those awesome Hunt for Red October shirts with the Fanatic and the World Series trophy. I'm going to order mine because those things are just I need one of those in my life. The sooner you order, the quicker it can come in time for the Phillies postseason run. The good thing is, too, it does not have a year on it, so you can wear it year after year. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Go to phillygoat.com. Get your Hunt for Red October t-shirts. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All the cool kids are doing it, so should you. And while we're doing plugs, you might as well just go check out the latest Back to the Future. We did an episode on the life and career of Barry Ashby of the Flyers. Very entertaining. I love his story, and I felt the need to get it out there. So go check that out. Back to the Future with a PH. New episode will be dropping Thursday. All right, so the Eagles update. Apparently there was a lot of the players, not just Jalen Hurts, that had the flu or the stomach bug or whatever going on Monday night, which kind of it explains a lot. It seems like they were sharper, meaning I feel like they worked out some of those kinks they had in practice, but there were still certain things that they were off it. And part of it probably is still the preseason thing. And I think the other part, obviously, if you have the flu and you're not feeling well, you're going to be a little off. So to me, that explains. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out and do Sunday against Washington. They should all be better by then. And hopefully that translates into the crispness and the sharpness that we started to see glimpses of. But for whatever reason, whether it was the rain, because they were sick, whatnot, hopefully that rights itself on Sunday and we see more a more accurate picture of what this team is. The other big story coming out of the Eagles is just the absolute absurdity that everybody is pushing back against the quarterback sneak play, the Tush Push, or so to speak, or I forget what the other name they were. Whatever. There was another name that they were trying to name it. But either way, everybody's so pissed off about it, and I don't understand. Rather than trying to figure out how to do it yourself, you're complaining about the Eagles doing it, and it's not the Eagles' fault that they've perfected it. They have the line that is capable of doing it. I forget who it was. It may have been Green Bay. One of the teams tried to do it a couple weeks ago. The guy tripped over one of his linemen. So while you guys are complaining and not trying to figure out how to run it yourself, the Eagles are out here trying to run option plays off of it. You saw the other night, Jalen tried to pass off of it. And I think I don't know, obviously it didn't work, but I think what that does is puts the league on notice that, there's other things we can do on this, which makes the play even that much more dangerous. So again, instead of bitching, go out and try to figure it out yourself, or maybe figure out your own version or your own play that's unstoppable that everybody else can bitch about. I'm just sick of it. It's kind of one of those haters gonna hate, and I get it. You're on top. Everybody hates you, and you're cheating. You're this. You're that. Not gonna sympathize with or say I feel their pain, but I'm starting to come along and see what happened with the Patriots now. It's like, shut up. Like, figure it out. It's legal. The NFL Rules Committee looked at it, said it was legal. Figure it out. Try to stop it. If you stopped it, we wouldn't run it anymore. Idiots. All right, so big NFC East games this week. The Eagles were the only ones that came out on top this past week. I'm anxious to see what happens on Thursday when the new Clashing Conferences podcast drops. So go be sure to check them out. Give them a like and a follow. The Clashing Conferences podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Should be interesting now that the Eagles are firmly in that catbird seat, and I want to see what Randy has to say, the Dallas guy, now that his Dak lost to the Cardinals after he talked so much trash on Topher for losing to the Cardinals almost losing to the Cardinals the week before. So should be an interesting. Give those guys a follow over there. Sticking with football today, we're going to go back to 1924, and on this day, the first NFL game involving a team from Philadelphia took place today, and it was not your Philadelphia Eagles. The Franford Yellow Jackets beat the Rochester Jeffersons 21-0 to open up their first inaugural season as a member of the NFL. They would finish that season 11-2-1. Not good enough to win a championship, but they're obviously going 11-2-1. They're not your typical expansion team. The NFL rules were a lot different back then, and I don't want to get more or too much into the weeds with this because there is a future episode of Back to the Future coming up later in October. I mentioned to you before that I'm going to do more crossover things when things come up and then focus more on the topics. The Franford Yellow Jackets are one of them. But they did play at Frankfurt Stadium, which is at Frankfurt and Devereux. If you're familiar with that area, you know exactly where I'm talking about. They did wear those powder blue and yellow uniforms, which were the color of the city of Philadelphia. And then the Eagles famously wore them back in 2007 for a throwback game. And the Eagles actually wore these jerseys for their first two seasons before they introed the Kelly Green in year 3, but they split between the powder blues and the Kelly Green in that third year. So these were the colors of the Eagles. So when they did that throwback for the Franford Yellow Jackets, they still had some ties with the Eagles, not just the city of Philadelphia. But on this day, back in 1924, the Franford Yellow Jackets beat the Rochester Jeffersons 21-0 in the first professional NFL football game in Philadelphia. More on that coming up later in October on Back to the Future. Okay, so we talked about the powder blue and yellow jerseys that the Eagles wore. Time for who wore it best, and yesterday it was number 24. And it was pretty close, or closer than I guess what I thought it would have been. It came down to basically Bobby Jones and Sheldon Brown. No love for Mike Lieberthal, but it was Bobby Jones winning with 67% of the vote. I thought Sheldon would have gotten more love than what he did, but I think ultimately Bobby Jones' body of work, as well as the fact that he won a championship in Philly, I think that is what put him over the edge. No argument there. His numbers retired. He is an NBA Hall of Fame or Pro Basketball Hall of Famer. So no shame in Bobby Jones winning number 24. All right, today we're going to go to another one of those iconic numbers, and that is number 6 in Philly. Currently, Devontae Smith and Travis Sanheim wear them for the Flyers and Eagles. Other notables were Bubby Brister, who was part of the carousel of just quarterbacks during the Randall Cunningham era when he would get hurt. Matt Cavanaugh, who was another backup for Randall. Sav Rocca, Doug Glanville, one of my favorite center fielders. J-Roll, actually, his first year wore number 6. And Bo Diaz, who I know a lot of the old school guys really like Bo Diaz for the Phillies. But to me, it came down to 4 guys. Ultimately, I felt it should have come down to 2, but the other 2 I'm throwing in for body of work and longevity. First, we have Chris Tariant, who played 11 years for the Flyers as a defenseman. 5th all-time in Flyers all-time games played. Just brought a toughness to those teams and was always a fan favorite. The next is Johnny Callison, who's another fan favorite from the old school. He played 10 years in Philly, went to 4 All-Star games, a .271 hitter with the Phils with 185 home runs. Again, I said he was a fan favorite, probably because he was a member of that 64 collapse team. But that year, and he had the Jim Bunning perfect game on Father's Day. Johnny Callison actually won the All-Star game for the National League with a walk-off, taking home the MVP award. He is a member of the Phillies Wall of Fame as well. And now, to me, it comes down to these next 2. And I'm not putting them in any particular order, but we're going to start with Dr. J. Played 11 years in Philly, averaged 22 points per game, 6.7 rebounds as a member of the Sixers. Won the MVP award in 1981. 11-time All-Star. His number 6 is retired. 3-time Eastern Conference champion. Helped to bring home the last championship for the Sixers in 1983. Still very involved with the team as an ambassador. One of the greatest to ever do it. That is Dr. J, Julius Erving. And finally, one of my favorites, and I feel as though probably one of the most underrated athletes in the history of Philadelphia, and that's Ryan Howard. Ryan played 13 years with the Phillies, did not become the full-time starter at 25, even though he was tearing it up in the minor leagues because Jim Thome was here. It took an unfortunate injury to Jim Thome to get Ryan Howard in the lineup, and then he made it so the Phillies could not take him out. He was Rookie of the Year in 2005, won the MVP in 2006, helped bring home a World Series in 2008. He was the 2009 NLCS MVP, 2-time home run leader in Major League Baseball, 3-time RBI leader. And in my opinion, from 2006 to 2011, and you can look at the numbers, they back this up as well. There was nobody better in the history of Major League Baseball than Ryan Howard when it came to home runs and just the power numbers. And let that sink in for a minute because there are numbers that back that up. He was among the greatest of all time in Major League Baseball during that stretch. And if he played today, it'd probably be his numbers for average would be a lot better because of the shift. He was one of the big reasons they started to implement the shift. And there were so many times he had hard hit balls when there was like the third infielder on the right side of the field. Unfortunately, injuries cost him late in his career, but I will stand by the fact that from 2006 to 2011, there was no one better than Ryan Howard. And again, I remain neutral in these, but you know which way, obviously, I'm leaning on this one. So tell me, who is the greatest athlete to ever wear number 6 in Philadelphia? Is it Ryan Howard? Is it Dr. J? Is it Johnny Callison? Is it Chris Tariant? Get those votes into me however you can. I think we might actually see an appearance from the sun today. So if you want to send the smoke signals, send the smoke signals away. But let me know who wore number 6 the best. On this day, back in 1924, the first professional NFL game featuring a team from Philadelphia was played as the Franford Yellow Jackets beat the Rochester Jeffersons 21-0 en route to an 11-2-1 season. More on that on Back to the Future later in October. To make sure you stay in the loop, give it a like and a follow. It's Back to the Future with a PH. Check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. It should be a doozy this week. Fans and haters, get over the whole Tush Push thing. Come on, man. Really? Anyway, congrats to the Phils on clinching that playoff spot. We need one more win. Maybe the bench players can pull one out for us tonight, and we can just put our feet up and relax until Tuesday. Congrats on Bobby Jones for wearing number 24 the best. It is supposed to be nicer before the rain comes in for a couple of days, so get out. Enjoy your Wednesday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday, and until next time, I will see you when I see you. Go Phils.